So, thank you, Julia, for being here with me, and I'm looking forward to this talk. Let's talk about the GitHub Copilot, and first of all, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, you already know me. I've been around the stage for the last day. I work with a lot of customers, especially enhancing the developer productivity in the organizations, and especially how AI-assisted coding can help us with that. So this is why I'm here. Why are you here?
I'm here to present some AI stuff from Microsoft, from community. Also, I'm doing this for 5 years, as Dennis mentioned already, as an MVP. Trainer since a decade, and looking forward to this one. I was also teaching during my PhD software engineering at KIT, and so I'm really afraid of somehow how to teach software engineering right now, because we have so many possibilities on AI stuff.
Yeah, it's really changing.
Let's talk about how the world is changing right now, and we have something from Harvard Business Review. We see a change from 24 to 25, and we pick only 2 things today with you. And the first one is, you see it here, on generating code. It was on the place 47 last year, and it's growing up to place 5 right now. That was the one thing we want today to show you, generating code somehow. Who of you is already generated code with Copilot? Who is completely new to this one? Okay, several things. That's great. And the second one, we will do also 2 demos. The first one will be on generating. The second one will be on creating, improving code. It was last year on the position 19, and now it's on the 8th position. So somehow, Julia will say the demo will be something she was preparing anything, and then we want to improve, and so on.
Yeah. So a quick question here, looking at place number 1, who is also using Gen AI for therapy or companionship discussions? The last audience we asked, the last audience we asked, it was way more responses to that, actually.
Yes. So we are on the software engineering stuff.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this one. We want to go to the GitHub Copilot Agent mode. So what is it about?
What is it about?
So on the next slide, we will see what's an agent.
Oh.
How do we define this one?
So I would personally define an agent as an LLM, embedded in code, that is not only able to answer us questions, but also can do things for us.
So everyone is familiar with Copilot, perhaps. We're doing the query, we get an output back, and so on. So it's just a one-shot, perhaps, somehow. On the agent, as Julia said, that is something like a tool calling there. So we want the agent to do things what we are not even implemented right now. So we're saying, like, do me something on this presentation, not just to saying what exactly should be done, but the agent would figure out which tool should I call, which API should I call somehow, and get us the results back, and then we go on. So that is how we define agent somehow. But there's something more. Also, these slides, they are from the build from this year, so you can show up this one. That is completely available from Microsoft to watch their whole breakout sessions there. So let's talk about what is no agent and how to get to multi-agent systems, however. If we have something like one-shot queries, so we do not define this one as an agent. Why? Why do we not define this one? What do you think?
Because it basically does nothing.
It's stupid? Can I say LLM is stupid somehow? I have heard this one.
I think it depends, right?
Yes.
So if I am very precise in the scope, what I'm awaiting, I guess I can make it smart, but if I do not define what I expect, I'm usually very disappointed what an LLM is providing for me.
Yeah, sure. The LLM will only get me the greatest possibility for something what I was calling there, and I can also explain this one. Is my prompt great? I get great results. Is my prompt bad? I get bad result. That's something like if we search for something.
Sometimes we even say shit in, shit out.
You said this one this time. That's great. What is a single agent? You see this one? We're doing a query for searching on documents. We get some inputs back. Perhaps we'll do also calling different APIs. We do not say directly which one. the system should figure out and call it on itself, depend on our query. If my query is different, then it would be another API, whatever. And also, last but not least, multi-agent systems, data system that's calling, or they are doing several tasks, different tasks, depending on what I wanted to know. Somehow I can call it to the web servers, or search, or get the data from a database, and so on. Then I get it all together in some coordinating agent. And if I'm done, then we have a ranking system somehow, which result is great or not, and then we're going to the end user back.
I really like to make the comparison to a dev team, right? When we are looking at a single agent, which we do in a bit with the Github Copilot software engineering agent, it's a single programmer. But with a multi-agent system, we can define a whole development team, a DevOps engineer, a senior dev, a mid-level dev, a junior dev. So we can have all the personas that we also know from our day-to-day work in a multi-agent system working with us together to solve problems.
That's great. Thank you very much. So let's move on. And then we are going to the GitHub Copilot. It gets our user input. It analyzes our context. You will see this one in a demo in a few minutes. Then it generates a response to us in a great way. However, I think we have done some bots, chatbots. We developed this one 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I would kill somebody to have this one 15 years ago right now, because that is completely set up for myself. I just need to say what I want to do, call some tools that are right or wrong, however, but then I have to improve. And then I have directly a generated code, and then I can get some suggestions. I can say, OK, I like this one. Yes, keep it. Or no, rephrase it. Do it one more time. Do the new code, and so on. And of course, we generate a code, generate response, and then you get your user feedback, and then that is a loop that is running the whole time.
This is what we are already very used to, right? At the beginning, it was only code completion with GitHub Copilot for us, but now we are able to actually iterate in the GitHub Copilot chat to get more to the desired result that we actually want to see. And especially the higher we get in developer maturity, the more opinionated we usually are, and the more effort we actually need to put in, that GitHub Copilot feels actually useful for us.
That's great. Let's see a first demo, perhaps?
Let's see the first demo.
The first demo will be on Visual Studio Code. That's recorded because it would take too much time if we want to show it live to you. But this is something we start on scratch from Visual Studio Code. That's nothing created there. And then we are going to the Copilot, as you see there right now. It does not start. That's a small issue. Give us a second.
The internet is the biggest demo problem of today. Well,
can we go forward? Just to showing. No, it doesn't move at all.
It doesn't move at all right now. Let me reload the page, and reload never hurt it, right?
Then I would set up the stage here somehow. You see, we have ask, edit, and agent mode. We can choose from these three modes, however, if you want, which one you want to use. And then you can just go there and ask, OK, I want to create an ISP.NET MVC page. Please do this for me. That will be only one-shot prompt. And the idea was to create a local host, or the website should be run on localhost, however. And then it should be a notification to Microsoft Entra. So there's a test tenant for ourselves. We are going to run this one and notificate to this tenant. So the tenant was created, and we want to rerun this time.
Let's be a little bit risky and just go into the IDE and show it directly. Because obviously what we can do, we are now here like in an existing project. But what I can obviously do is I can ask GitHub Copilot to create something completely new from scratch. Right? Let me make it a little bit bigger for you so that you can see what I'm actually doing. As you can see, I selected the agent mode here because this is what we all want to see, right? And the Claude Sonnet 4. I yesterday said already, Claude Sonnet 4, hands down, is currently, in my personal opinion, the best coding LLM on the market. Can you create me a new Java 21 project with an API endpoint for persona data?
Let's do it live. That's OK.
Let's do it live. And hope the internet is working with us here.
What we see, it's working?
It's work. It says it's working.
Yeah, I think it's working. Yeah, you see, we used one reference. It answers already. I can help create. And then you can choose, do I want to continue or not?
Yes. You can choose. Actually, you can also choose how do you want to continue. If you want to be more like in this human-in-the-loop experience, so GitHub Copilot is coming back at you and asking you questions all the time. It should actually execute something. But if you're really familiar with it, you can also choose here in the more action section if you want to allow it all the time for this session, for this workspace, or ever. We now go for the human-in-the-loop, and I click continue here. It tells me, hey, select an empty workspace folder. We just choose the folder we are already in for the demo purposes. And what is now actually happening here, Alex?
That's great. So it creates a new project. You see this one. It's working directly. You see the whole time what is the system does for us and what are the next steps, however, what is creating, POM XML, and so on. So it's just a Copilot. So it's flying right now. It's
flying right now, and it's doing really good stuff. Obviously, when you're working with projects or programming languages that have like a broad audience in the open source community, this will work better than when you're working in niche languages or proprietary languages. This is why, because GitHub Copilot is trained on code on GitHub. So if you're one of these poor children who are working with SAP ABAP, for example, this will not help you. But if you're working in Java, JavaScript, Python, C#, this is actually really great to start from scratch, doing like this greenfield setup. Usually we would look it up how to do it, right? Or we have coding guidelines in our organization how to do it. But we can also directly program it in GitHub Copilot to pick out our own coding guidelines or just follow open source best practices.
That's great. What we now see is something like green, that is a new one. If we delete something, we will see it later, it will be red. So you can follow up the steps, what are the changes, and also what kind of classes or interfaces or whatever are created by the system right now. So you can follow up the whole chat, however. That's just logging for us.
Basic logging.
And when it's creating, I don't know if I need for this one to create it on my own, only 2 minutes. Perhaps I will need more just on set up this structure. And the structure here, if we are working on this one, also in a demo what was not running somehow, perhaps we see it here. If the system would do something wrong, it would realize, oh, there's an error inside, and then tries to correct without myself that I'm saying what exactly to correct. It's refactor its own created code.
Yeah, it's my fault. So when it's now not doing this, it's actually my fault because I did not prompt it to do it, right? All I asked it for is just to create something for me. If I would have expected to, after also test what it has created, if it's actually running, I would have also need to prompt it into that, right? So create me a project, and then please test my project setup. We don't use please because it wastes tokens, but you get what the point is, right? What I also really like is that you have this list on the right side in the GitHub Copilot chat to see which files are actually touched or created. But also on the left side in your folder structure, you have like these squares with the dots in it so that you can absolutely see which files have been touched. These disappear when you then decide after the agent is done if you want to keep or undo it. If you pick undo, it just pushes away everything that it just did. When you say keep, it just keeps them for now, and then you can maybe manually go in and edit again or ask it to iterate again, because obviously we can also iterate with the agent to get to the desired result that we want.
So the great idea, if you're starting to code right now, you just ask Copilot, do something for myself, and then you see step-by-step creation. That's also how I would somehow explain how to code a system. Also for my students 10 years ago. Unfortunately, or perhaps I'm happy I'm not doing it right now because I have no idea how to right now to teach them this one, because they can do it on their own directly and say, oh, that's my code. How would I know it was generated by AI? Nobody would run this one and create perhaps documentation, this is perfect and so on. So you see, is it by AI or not?
I mean, back in the days when I was like a student, I did a lot of copy-pasting. And the problem with copy-pasting is, I'm pretty sure you're all aware of that, also the copy-pasting from Stack Overflow that we did all for the last years. You're also copying your own errors or the errors of someone else. So it's either, and then you need to debug the errors that you did like months or years ago, or someone else did months or years ago. And this was also not a very pleasant experience, at least for me back then.
Yeah, I can also extend this one. We also copied the mistakes from others, from several forums. And you need, as a developer, somehow Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, and then you can move on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not working for quite some time. It's currently hard to identify if it's like the shaky internet or if it's actually working hard. But what I can do here when I'm in the IDE, we have obviously a human in the loop. I have like this stop button here down, which I can use all the time. When I see I did not prompt the AI good enough, or maybe it's just walking into the wrong direction, I can chime in basically all the time and tell it, give it deeper instructions or ask it to correct something. But as we want to move on to the migration
second demo,
I will now click the undo button, and it created actually 13 files for me, which is quite big. We go into a new chat window. I will delete this Persona API folder for now, because we actually created a live demo for you for this. Initially for the software engineering agents con that we did like last week, 2 weeks ago. And what I did is I created, with Github Copilot obviously, 3 applications that we would consider legacy because they serve versions of programming languages, popular programming languages, that are out of life. So we have a Java 11 application with Maven on Spring Boot. We have a legacy Python application in Python 3.8. And we have like a Node 16 application. And when we are looking into these folders, we see that we are actually lucky developers dealing with these legacy applications because someone created an actual technical documentation for us and a user handbook. What could be the problem with like a user handbook or a technical documentation, Alex?
I have never seen handbooks or documentation that align every single time to the actual code, because if you write documentation, you document your code, and then your code changes, then you need documentation right now. And I know a lot of software engineers who hate this one.
Who likes to write documentation in this audience?
One person.
One person.
That's great.
A round of applause for this one person. So I did not either, right?
Yeah, myself also.
Obviously, for this demo purpose, I coded a little bit of a trap for the agent, right? Because I want to have, let's think I'm a new developer and my boss tells me, Julia, take this Java legacy application and get it for me to Java 21. This application is Java 11. A lot has changed between Java 11 and Java 21. And I need to find out if the code is the actual source of truth. So what I can now do is I can add as context the legacy Java folder and ask, is the code reflected in the...
By the way, that is all live.
User handbook and the technical documentation. This is how I call it. Technical documentation. Oh.
Let's practice one more time. Not stop. I think it stopped directly.
Yeah, I was too excited and clicked twice.
2 clicks.
And now it's actually choosing the tools to use to solve this problem on its own. As you can see, while it's working, I can show you that, we have this little like wrench here. And this is basically the tools that I have currently selected that the agent is actually able to use. As you can see, I have currently selected 31, and these are only the inbuilt tools that the GitHub Copilot team provides you together with the VS Code team to actually use VS Code efficiently. You can build your own tools with MCP. You can bring all the information that you need with MCP. You can install a third-party MCP service with all the tools that you might need to also gather information from your Azure DevOps, from your Atlassian cloud, but also actually to do things. Doing like, for example, visualizations with Mermaid, for example. And the maximum of tools is currently 128. And keep in mind, the more tools you add, the longer the waiting times get for the agent, because it's checking basically all the time if, with the prompt I provided for it, can to use which tools to actually need. And the longer the list, the longer it needs to check.
That's great. So now it's already read some file?
Yeah, it's already reading some files.
I need definitely more than 5 minutes for this one, just to compare what exactly is going on documentation stuff.
I mean, the Java application that I wrote here is quite short, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe you would be on par with the agent. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's actually now, it knows exactly the scope which to work on because I provided it very actively for it, right? If I would have not provided the scope briefly, I saw it in a demo earlier with the exactly same project, that it then also considered a Python folder for a reason I am not really aware of, although I was actively asking for the Java application. So always keep in mind, if you want to be really sure that it does what you want it to do, narrow down the scope in every possible way for you. All right. It's already at the prompt.
So it's comparing.
All right. But why we wait? I tell a joke. Why does developers prefer dark mode? Because light attracts bugs. All right. Meanwhile, we're done.
Nice.
And as you can see, it basically, well, it told me all the time what it's actually doing, right? It told me exactly which file it was looking on, containing yada, yada, yada. Then it said, hey, I now have checked what the files are actually doing. Now I ask what you actually told me to do to check if it pairs up with the documentation and the technical documentation. And it looks like, it tells me, hey, look, this is reflected in the documentation. But it also tells me, hey, it seems like there's some code missing, or there's something described in the documentation that's actually not reflected in the code. So this is like, and when I would now have only read the documentation, I would have expected this endpoint to actually exist. So I can now now I have an overview about my Java legacy application, and I can now ask it to actually update it. So my next step would be, I ask it, can you upgrade the project to Java 21 and update the documentation. We are still in a live demo. Cross your fingers for me. And as you can see, it actually took the instructions that I gave to it, and then it now makes a plan for me. This is very typical behavior for agents because they basically mimic what we as developers would do because they are trained on developer data, right? So we as developers, we usually would, before we start doing something, right? We would think about what we actually want to do, right? Yeah. And in the best case, we would even write it down. Have you ever written a plan down, or was it all in your head, Alex?
No, definitely not. But we need to explain also, you see +2, -2, and so on. You can follow up on this Java claim controller class, what is added and what is taken away. And if you like, keep it. Don't like, just refactor itself or undo, however.
Yes, basically yes. And now the task that I actually gave it is a little bit larger than a task I gave it before. So I don't know if we have still 4 minutes left. I don't know if we will come to an end in this demo. But what I would actually expect it, that it actually then also tests the new setup, right? Because I tasked it to upgrade it. And all the demos that we did before it afterwards also stepped into the testing part. So having fingers crossed.
What you see also on the right, what I like is, for the next time, you see what kind of command do you need to run this one on your own. So for the first time, you see the command, whatever. You can continue and run it directly from here. And also, if you are learning how to code, you can just repeat it on your own later.
And what I also really like is what you just saw. It basically told me, hey, use this terminal command to execute or do it like a Maven install, which we need to do to install dependencies, right? And then it opened its own terminal, which is also marked as like a Copilot terminal, so you know exactly where your agent is actually working in. And now it started to compile it, and now it has a look at it because we already see it here. It's kind of crooked up in the formatting of the XML here. And now it tries to figure out what happened here in the XML formatting, and let's hope to actually fix it by itself.
Yeah.
Come on, Copilot. Okay,
Remove.
wants me to remove it completely?
That's okay.
I'm fine with that. Sometimes we need a clean slate to start on to recollect our thoughts. Now we close this. And let's see if it creates a new one. 2 minutes left, Copilot. Come on. But where is it? Ah, there it is.
Nice.
It's still empty. It's still empty, Copilot.
It's magic. It's okay.
It's a live demo, right? So we have still 2 more minutes. But do you think, Alex, I mean, you have like a company, right?
Yes.
Are your people feeling more productive using these tools?
And not only on GitHub Copilot right now. I was saying we wanted a marketing campaign. They showed up 5 minutes later with whole ideas, what we can run. And the people who are coding right now, they are doing this one on refactoring. We have done this one on our 2 productive systems, just creating the GitHub Copilot suggestions, what kind of implementation do we need for the next step. So provided the instructions, provided the documentation. So you have done right now in a demo, you have seen code, documentation. But you can do it also, you get documentation first, and then you say, hey, what do I need to do this kind of implementation right now? And it figured out what we need. They figured out the right classes, right code. Some instructions were wrong, but it's something what this Copilot does not know. It's something like what we are doing internally. So we have to delete perhaps 2 lines of code, and then it was working. And what I was saying then to Julia, it was really impressive.
Yeah. So actually, it now you saw it probably. I gave it a little bit of a hint what I actually wanted it to do. It's now doing it. We're now doing like another clean compile, and this is the last thing we do before Dennis kicks us off the stage. As you can see, we are now getting further, obviously, but it's still an error, and now GitHub Copilot would continue to iterate through it, or we could, when we maybe see on the first hand, because we are seasoned developers, what's actually going on, we could also give it a hint to solve this problem. This is the end of our talk. This is the end of our demo. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thanks for joining. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you, Alex.
It was a pleasure.